after having heard of the other presentations that have been done, I think it'd be interesting to try to focus what I'm going to talk about on decision making, right, from the field during a crisis situation. Colombia is a country which has a chronic crisis, right, with a situation with internally displaced persons. And on the other hand, it also has sudden onset natural disaster situations. So more important than the actual tools I'll show and the analysis that we've done is the question of how do you put into implementation many of these ideas, which I think are great that you have. Here you can see the origin of information management in Colombia occurred in 2002 with a massacre in Bojayá. So it was, like some of you have talked about today, sort of a reactionary action. So what ended up happening was the agencies were embarrassed by what happened, and they decided that they needed to take action to organize the information that was there. And you can see, well, that this was a wake-up call to the international community, both to the donor community, which is very influential. Well, it has to fund any of these initiatives that are brought on, and as well as the agencies and NGOs. So you see Bojayá is way out in the middle of nowhere. No one knew that much about it, but it's a huge municipality, right? You can see some of the damage here that occurred, and a rocket-propelled grenade went into a church. 120 people died. So you have people who are coordinating different spaces between agencies and NGOs who knew what type of product they wanted, but they didn't really know how to build it. So they have the typical product that you'll see is not a map per se. Maps can sort of latch on to other information products, strategically speaking. I would say that what they always look for first and what they're most proud of is giving a briefing kit to a mission that comes to the country. For example, the Undersecretary General. When John Egelin came to Colombia, one of the impacts of putting together a really good information pack was having the decision to expand OCHA in 2005. So you see, we started working on these types of products here. In 2003 and 2004, you had very simple maps, but they were useful in some decision-making spaces. They were by demand. We also started organizing more and more data. We were asked to put together a monthly report, which was edited by everyone, which was an insanely complex and political process. And it started getting onto 40 pages plus each. They asked us to produce simple geographic maps because the authorities didn't have maps that were online. They were sort of, they were paranoid. And they're actually the head of government agency there says their greatest fear has been that their data set will suddenly appear on Google Earth. That's what they say. So here you have what in the end is a very simple and brief information product, required years of organization and contact building, right? This particular product, these are two products that we have, which is an index, which started out as a logic model, and we did it with universities. We're trying to farm out the analysis to universities in Colombia, because there's a demand that OCHA become an analyst institution, but it would be ridiculous. It's already pretentious that OCHA tries to manage all the information regarding humanitarian crises, but it would be even more pretentious to say that we're going to hire an analyst for each area, or even that each agency, right now they're trying to create a model where each agency that's head of a cluster, or a thematic group as they call it in Colombia, goes and actually works, has to designate an IM focal point, which can create a lot of value added if they designate the right person. Another thing that they like And this all has to do with the cycle of information as far as the relationship between donors. I know there's a lot of talk about a common operating picture. In the end, we'll talk about we're trying to get there, but we've never even gotten close yet, I don't think. There's a lot of emphasis on having information that convinces decision makers, be they ambassadors, missions from ECHO, or high-ranking UN officials. And so you have to be very brief, and you have to get together a lot of data so that you see this is data on mines. We put it in Calameo, which is very nice, and no other presentation software we weren't able to see it well on any of the other platforms. So here you can see what we're trying to go towards now is complement what we already have online with the data. We have our databases online, which right now we have about 900 users in Colombia. But as far as active users, most of them are also from the academic community. We work with the Humanitarian Studies Institute to promote academics, first of all, so that they understand what humanitarian means, because most people don't know. But that's the first step. And second, to try to get them to analyze the data regarding IDPs, displacement, public health data. Work on indexes when it's appropriate, for example, for confinement situations and for general humanitarian situation. And then with Ushahidi, just last week we were, I think we have, well, let me talk about this. This is a weekly report, and what we hope to do, one of the things we hope to do with Ushahidi and with our sit reps is to collect data, and each event being in a certain place and at a certain time, also have related to that event needs, right, and response. What is the response that's been given? And then you can go and relate that information to the actors, for example, that are present, and you can create a database over time. So all this is a press related database that actually goes into producing this weekly report, which goes out to the donors. This is the online database. The maps are on a map server. This is the index, which I can talk individually. It's not as sophisticated as the gravitational model or whatever, but it's. But this faculty of statistics at the university, they developed a logit model and a principal component analysis model, which was interesting. So what we'd like to do is to combine crowdsource information and further integrate information sources to bring a new level of coordination potential to Colombia's humanitarian actors. So we have, the goal here is using a information platform we named Ushahidi, but I mean the goal is to have an information platform that can manage the information regarding events, as I described, and then create the standard products that are in demand constantly, and then also create large maps, which there's also a specific demand for that. And additionally, and this is something we're looking at with, I'd hope with AlertNet, for sudden onset crisis, have people working at validating the information from a public consumption point of view so that you can reach people via radio and other tools. So you can see this is what we did with the earthquake simulation in Bogota this last weekend. And we had AlertNet helping. And then we created a public portal so that you had a different portal for information for the general public. Thank you, and if you have any questions, be looking forward to talking with you.